Hi and welcome to what was supposed to be my monthly update on my weight loss journey, and I'm saying that it was supposed to be because it's been way more than a month so far. There's actually a good reason for this. Actually, no, the reason I got distracted, but let's talk about that because it's important. After I initially posted that video about starting this journey, it was all great for like 2 to 3 weeks, during which I've actually managed to lose like 3 to 5 kilograms depending on how you count about it, but I got down to 112 kilograms. That was a lot of progress, maybe a bit too much because it was a bit more than the recommended amount that you should lose every week, but still I was happy about it. During that time I also had some amazing ideas that could work well with this for other content. For example, I wanted to document my journey increasing how many push-ups I can do, because I really wanted to be able to do 100 push-ups again. That one also was going well. I managed to increase from doing 30 push-ups continuously to 50, which is quite a big increase. Here's some footage from that. Yes, let's document the entire journey. Like, dieting and exercise alone wasn't hard enough. Let's throw recording, editing and all of that on top. 10 out of 10 idea, would do it again. At least complaining about it does help a bit. Damn, it's cold. But then something happened. I've started working on 2 other projects. One was streaming, which I've talked about in another video. Go and watch that one as well if you'd like. But also on another one that had nothing to do with content creation. I mentioned this because while streaming was still connected to my initial plan of focusing on content creation while also keeping up with my diet and exercise and all of those, this new project had nothing to do with that. It was a tech project that I initially started because I wanted to improve, let's say, my experience and also my demand on the market. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. I won't go too much into this, but just know that it was a way bigger distraction which had like no connection to the initial plan, and probably it shouldn't have gotten as much attention as it did. Now, only those shouldn't have been a problem because they are my projects and I should be able to like work around them, but then something else came up. I work in tech as a freelancer in order to sustain myself so I can create this content, but also to have some money on the side so I can invest to improve my financial situation and hopefully eventually reach financial freedom, which has been a dream of mine for a long time, maybe just as long as becoming a content creator. Just for context, this investing and financial freedom project, which yes, it's also a project in itself, I'm not counting it as a distraction because this is something that's kind of automatic and does not require my involvement, maybe like half an hour each month. At least that's the case now. It did in the past when I was learning about it or when I invested in something that required my constant attention, but for now it's running like a separate machine on its own. I just have to do some basic maintenance. And of course, throwing some fuel at it by financing it with the money that I get from my freelancing gigs. So while I was trying to focus on this weight loss journey, the push-up challenge, streaming and also the new project, I've also got an increased demand from clients which resulted in like 40 more hours of work just in February, which can be a lot considering that I was already working the equivalent hours for like a full-time job, which meant that some of those other projects had to be cast aside. And unfortunately, it was the weight loss journey and the push-up challenge. Also, it's important to note here that when I realized that those are taking too much time out of my day, it was a bit too late to stop it because the project already started and I had to go through with it. It would have been smart to say no from the start to those, but I saw them as an opportunity to fix some other issues that I have regarding like financials, like some big spends that are coming up that I had to like cover. So yeah, initially they seemed good on paper. But of course, stuff doesn't always turn out how you expect it to, so it eventually took way longer to finish than I had initially planned for. I still got paid for all of the time that I had invested, I made sure of that, which helps a lot with my future plans, but it derailed those other goals. Luckily for me, because I followed the diet in those initial 3 weeks, I've actually managed to build some good habits, which helped me not put back on the weight that I've already lost. Of course, I didn't manage to lose more weight, but at least there's some progress there. And now that I want to refocus on this, I'm not starting back from zero. In an ideal world, I should probably try to focus only on this and to not get distracted and just focus on this until it's finished. But I know myself and I know that probably won't be the case. Especially because I already know some other projects that I want to work on, one being the book that I've talked about in another video. Also, this journey in itself is a project that I'm working on, something that I want to talk about and create content on. And that, together with the first video that I've made, give me an initial boost that enable me to start the journey. But usually when I work on projects, I tend to switch between all of them. But that doesn't really work with weight loss. So then the question becomes, how can I avoid getting distracted and actually continue to make progress on this journey, but knowing that I probably have to work on other projects as well? From this experience specifically, but also from some other ones from the past where I've lost track of this goal to lose weight, I know two things that are extremely important. The first one is that there's a threshold after which if I have too much on my plate at the same time, I get distracted on probably all of them. The second one is that even though I got distracted and or like I couldn't focus all the time on this weight loss journey, at least the habits that I'm building are still helping me make progress. Two examples here are cooking without oil and also drinking my coffee in the morning without a ton of milk. The disadvantage though is that also a bad habit came back, which is my sweet tooth, because I tend to eat a lot of sweets when I'm stressed out or very tired. That one is still something that I'm working on, but it has slightly improved ever since I've started this journey and taking it seriously, especially for the content. Now this might sound like very generic advice, which it probably is, but there's something else here that not a lot of people take into account when they say that, oh, you just need to focus, prioritize, and not take on as many projects at the same time. Everyone is different, which is obvious, but it's even more clearer now for me that while yes, there's generic stuff that works for everyone, there are different parameters that get adjusted for each individual. Having gone through this experience myself firsthand, I now know when those habits kick in, how to keep them going, and also where's the threshold for how much I can take on at the same time. If I try to focus 100% only on the weight loss journey, to not work on anything else, especially content creation, I would probably, at the same time, if I take 5 projects on and also there are a lot of clients that want something right now, then I probably won't be able to focus at all on it, and it's kind of the same as giving up. So there's a sweet spot between those two extremes that I know now works extremely well for me, and going forward I'm going to try to stay in that area as much as possible so I can make consistent progress. On top of that, I'm going to try to take this lesson and to apply it to other stuff, like for example how much content I'm creating, because again there's a sweet spot between creating 100 videos or not creating anything at all in like a week or just one video a month, that kind of stuff. Editor A.L.I.V.E here. I forgot to mention also about trying to reduce the time until I get back into the focus. There's a time period between when I get distracted until I get refocused and back into the action, and the idea is to shorten that period. The point is that if something unexpected happens, I need to be able to get back on track within a week, not within a month. And I'm definitely way better at doing this now than I was 2 years ago, because this is once again something that you can only improve with experience. You need a lot of first-hand experience in order to determine what works for you. But on top of that, it's also good to hear different opinions from multiple people, because if you're only hearing that, oh, you need to focus on one single thing, that will make it seem like it's a hard rule. But in reality, it's not the case. So it's good to know that other people have different parameters, I guess. That's actually why I wanted to share this update, because even though there's not a lot of progress on the scale, there are a lot of improvements in how I'm approaching this journey. And also I find it very interesting how very few people actually talk about the experimenting phase and how you have to adjust stuff to what works for you. If you think about it, a treatment plan, medication, or even the diet itself has to be adjusted to each individual, so why not also the advice that we're getting? Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm too dense about it, but anyway, I'm hoping that this might help anyone else that's struggling with keeping up with like all of the advice that you're getting, that you have to stick with rules and stuff like that. I don't believe it's really like that. Anyway, thank you for watching until now. I'm sorry if this was a mess. I'm still trying to work on how I can talk freely about different subjects. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying the journey with me. If you've enjoyed this video, I also strongly recommend that you check out my new video on how I started streaming from zero, because that one has a lot of valuable advice inside that can apply to other things, not just streaming. Also look forward to more monthly updates, because I will actually try to stick to the schedule this time, so I will probably release another one at the end of this month, and also the push-up challenge video. So if you want to see those, don't forget to also subscribe.